He's in heaven. And he sees everything, full picture. And I truly believe that if the Lord, which this does not happen, but if the Lord gave him an option to return back to earth, and if the Lord said, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst for, do you want to go back and exchange it? He'd say no.
For months, people inside TPUSA reportedly tried to brush off the growing tension around Erika Kirk, but that changed fast. After a leaked video surfaced, Erika was heard saying she would still reject Charlie Kirk's return even if God himself stepped in, and the reaction behind closed doors was reportedly immediate. Board members are now said to be questioning whether the woman presenting herself as the guardian of Charlie's legacy ever truly stood by him. The mood inside TPUSA reportedly shifted overnight after the clip spread. Quiet doubts had already been building behind the scenes, but when viewers heard her say, even if God gave him the option, I wouldn't want to bring him back, the conversation changed instantly, not just online but inside Charlie Kirk's own circle. And the backlash grew even sharper when people started comparing that reaction to Thomas Massey, who spoke about losing his wife and said, I cry every day. I would do anything to see her again.
Lost my wife, and
I'm sorry.
It's
To say that.
I cry every day, and it's, you know, you can be totally normal 99.9% of the time, and then the 0.1% you just lose it. Okay, but I am more spiritual, and I would do anything to get to see her again.
He's in heaven. And he sees everything, full picture. And I truly believe that if the Lord, which this does not happen, but if the Lord gave him an option to return back to earth, and if the Lord said, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst, do you want to go back and exchange it? He'd say no.
That came across as human to some people, raw, emotional, and real. But Erika's statement landed very differently for critics online, who described it as cold and detached, and in some corners even unsettling. Once the clip started spreading, people began looking back at everything tied to Erika all over again. According to online rumors and unverified discussions, some TPUSA board members are allegedly pushing for Erika to step away from leadership entirely. At first, many supporters brushed that off as internet gossip, but as reports of internal frustration and possible legal concerns tied to the leaked footage kept surfacing, the conversation became harder to dismiss, especially because this was no longer just about one leaked sentence. It also fed the growing belief among critics that Erika gradually shifted Charlie Kirk's movement toward herself after his tragic passing. And they say that change started almost right away. People noticed it early, but many let it pass because emotions were still high after Charlie passed away. Erika suddenly became the public face everywhere through the speeches, interviews, tours, public grieving appearances, and her role inside TPUSA.
We want the best for our country. They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school teacher, of all people, a school teacher, that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me. And I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me?
I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence.
To supporters, it looked like a widow trying to protect her husband's legacy, but critics saw it very differently. They believed someone was moving into influence unusually fast. while every controversy connected to Charlie's passing seemed to circle back around again. That suspicion reportedly grew once Candace Owens shifted how many viewers viewed Erika in public. Suddenly, people were no longer focused on a polished conservative speaker. Instead, they were looking at old reality TV audition clips, entertainment industry footage, pageant appearances, and social media circles that felt far removed from the disciplined image Erika later presented beside Charlie. As that conversation kept spreading, the tone around Erika shifted even further. What had started as a single leaked moment was now getting folded into a much bigger debate about image, timing, and trust, with online commentators insisting that every new clip seemed to raise more questions than answers. Some viewers said the pressure on TPUSA was no longer just about leadership, but about whether the organization could separate grief from public strategy. And those doubts only got louder as more people revisited old footage and past appearances. Meanwhile, supporters kept pushing back, saying the criticism was being taken too far and that people were reading hidden motives into a deeply emotional situation. But even with that defense, the backlash did not really fade. Instead, it kept circling back to the same issue: how quickly Erika had stepped into such a visible role, and whether that transition felt natural to everyone watching. And as those conversations continued online, the public image of the entire situation only became more complicated.
I think I always had that girly girl hidden within me. After being such a tomboy and experiencing that my whole life, it was like, oh, I can curl my hair, I can put on the mascara. I come from a great family that has very amazing genetics, so thanks, Mom and Dad.
You went to a job interview. Literally, so this is how good the Lord is. He knew that because I was not dating in New York City, he knew that in order for me to know that that was my man, he had to blanket Charlie as a job interview. Because if that went in, no joke, if he came to me and said, hey, let's go on a date to Bill's Burgers, I'd be like, I am so sorry, thank you, but no, we're not doing this. That was my mindset. I was not in that headspace. I just wasn't. But God will work in incredible ways when you surrender the pen for him to write your love story. And when you know that, look, if I remain in the jet stream of God's will, he will provide for me in ways I cannot even imagine. And that is my prayer for you. My prayer for you is to remain open and to remain prayerful.
To be honest, the clip itself was not even the main issue. The bigger concern, at least in online discussions, was the feeling that parts of Erika's past may have been hidden or reshaped once she entered Charlie's world. Critics started asking why older clips seemed to vanish, why the leaked footage allegedly sparked legal concerns, and why TPUSA reportedly pushed so hard to control the narrative around her earlier life. That is why rumors about TPUSA allegedly turning on Erika spread so quickly online, because when an organization seems more focused on stopping leaks than calming internal tension, people naturally start wondering what it is trying to keep out of view. Then the acting coach footage surfaced, and that pushed the conversation into even more uneasy territory. According to viewers discussing the clips online, Erika seemed to be learning how to adjust herself socially depending on the setting she was in.
USA did a massive purge of employees a few days ago, or at the end of, I guess, last week, you could say. What did you hear about that purge?
I heard there were 30 to 40 people purged, that they were looking for the leak. They knew there are leaks out of TPUSA. They are terrified of these leaks because of what TPUSA has been up to, and rather than try to be an honest organization, it's just let's get rid of all the people we think might be disclosing that we're a dishonest organization.
Critics quickly tied that back to the honeypot allegations that had followed Erika for months. Though supporters dismissed the idea as completely off base. But online, the bigger focus was not the label itself. It was the timeline around Erika's rise. Before meeting Charlie, Erika was already moving through spaces tied to influence, networking, and visibility, like pageants, fashion, auditions, entertainment circles, and high-profile social settings. Then, after entering Charlie Kirk's life, she eventually became the woman leading the organization he built. And that is exactly why the conversation refused to die down. Once people started comparing the older clips with the more polished public image, the debate shifted from a single video to a much larger question about consistency, timing, and how much of the story had been curated for public view. Some online commentators argued that the sudden attention around Erika was not just about curiosity, but about whether the version people were seeing now matched the person she had been before Charlie became part of her life. At the same time, supporters kept saying the criticism was being pushed too far, and that a private history was being dragged into a public discussion for clicks and speculation. They argued that old entertainment clips, pageant footage, and acting material did not prove anything on their own, and that internet users were stitching together assumptions without full context. Still, the discussion kept expanding, especially as people revisited every old appearance, looking for patterns they believed had been overlooked. What made it even messier was the way each new clip seemed to pull the story in a different direction. Instead of settling anything, the footage kept reopening the same doubts, while critics and supporters talked past each other online. And with TPUSA already under a lot of public attention, even small details around Erika's past were being treated as major clues by viewers trying to make sense of the whole situation.
Really handsome.
You look gorgeous. Are you fixing my... Got a little bacon. Babe, that's deep in there. Give them a cleavage? People want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sells, babe.
Sells. That's me.
That's against religion.
It's not. It's within the confines of marriage.
That is where the accusations of taking over TPUSA started spreading online. Not in the literal sense of taking it overnight, but, according to critics, in a slower way, by reshaping the organization after Charlie's passing until some viewers barely recognized what it had become. Former insiders reportedly began distancing themselves. Internal shakeups seemed to happen fast. Staff members faded from view, new tensions leaked online, and critics claimed that whenever public questions started building, another emotional moment or tightly managed narrative seemed to surface right after.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
No, and I know you're going to keep saying that I understand.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
No, I know.
And I know there's probably no magic string of words that I could piece together to procure some type of answer. But yeah. I think on a surface level, like, I'm not going to walk out of here until I say my piece. Like, I mean, y'all know this. I just worked a series of 80, 90-hour weeks plus for AmFest.
Yeah,
I've had no direction or explanation since we've come back. Our CEO has been assassinated. I've done nothing but been backwards for this organization, and the point where I'm wondering if this is a prank.
It's not a prank. I would never do that.
So I'm just trying to understand. And
no, I understand. It's time to...
So do I get to have a conversation with Dylan? Do I get to have a conversation with Justin or anybody? Or
Nope.
No, and there's no explanation as to why I'm going to let go.
Right now, we're leaving all.
You know, and you're going to keep saying a different direction, but I'm trying to understand how I've met multiple times with my...
Well, you're going a different direction with the team, and I have to ask you to leave now.
You have to ask me to leave the property?
Yes.
Due to what, Frank?
Because we're asking you to leave because you've been terminated and we're not.
But there's no explanation or documentation for this. I've never had one bad review from Dylan. I've never had one issue with the company. I've never done anything unethical. And so I'm sitting here understanding why my entire livelihood is being completely tossed out. I mean, I sat in this chair.
You're gonna do great things.
No, and I plan to.
I don't think your livelihood is being tossed out. I think you're very successful.
Well, my paycheck every other week is being tossed out, Frank, with absolutely no warning whatsoever.
I understand. But if at this time, it's time for you to go.
It's time for me to go. Why? Like this is the treatment that Turning Point is offering now.
It's time to go.
Frank, this is crazy.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
I don't think you do. This feels very heartless. This feels without emotion.
I do understand where you're coming from.
This feels completely without emotion.
That is why the fake letters controversy hit people so hard. Because once rumors began circulating that Charlie's sister allegedly accused Erika of manipulating or possibly fabricating private letters tied to Charlie after his passing, viewers quickly started asking a painful question. Was Erika grieving Charlie or carefully managing his image? That distinction matters, especially when some people already believe the marriage behind closed doors may not have looked anything like the polished version shown publicly. Over the past several months, viewers have watched one rumor after another pile up. The family tension, the cheating speculation, the unusual distance between Erika and people who were once close to Charlie, and even whispers that Charlie allegedly felt uneasy in private before his passing. None of those claims have been publicly proven, but when people connect them with this newer leaked clip, the whole situation starts looking even more unsettling to critics online. Because they are now questioning the emotional authenticity behind everything Erika has done since Charlie's tragic passing. The speeches, the interviews, even the smiling public appearances after his passing are being viewed through a very different lens. And once that conversation took hold, it started spreading into every corner of the online discussion. People who were already skeptical began revisiting old interviews, public appearances, and side comments, looking for anything that might support their interpretation. while supporters kept pushing back and saying the internet was reading way too much into incomplete clips and second-hand claims. No official statement has confirmed the more serious theories, but that has not stopped the speculation from growing. Some commentators also pointed out that the pressure around TPUSA was never going to stay contained to one person. In their view, once Erika stepped into such a visible role, every move she made was going to be examined, especially if people already felt the organization was changing in tone, image, or leadership style. That is why even ordinary moments were getting turned into talking points, because viewers were no longer just reacting to her, they were reacting to the entire story they thought was unfolding around her. Meanwhile, the alleged letter issue kept hanging over the discussion like a shadow. Online users kept debating whether the documents were real, whether they were misunderstood, or whether the whole thing had been blown out of proportion by people chasing a viral narrative. Supporters said the claims were unverified and should not be treated as fact, but critics argued that the surrounding pattern made the situation look harder to ignore. And with every new repost, every new clip, and every new reaction video, the same central question kept returning: how much of what people are seeing is genuine, and how much has been carefully shaped for public consumption? Critics are asking why Erika seems so comfortable stepping into the spotlight, while Charlie's own family, according to some online discussions, appeared to grow more distant from her behind the scenes. And honestly, the line that keeps hanging over this whole story is still the same one spreading everywhere online. Even if God gave him the option, I wouldn't want to bring him back. A lot of viewers say that sentence did not sound like grief, but like relief, though that reading remains disputed. Once people started taking it that way, older controversies began getting linked together all at once. The rapid rise inside TPUSA, the reshaping of Charlie's legacy, resurfaced tapes, leaked acting footage, accusations of narrative control, legal pressure around leaks, the fake letters controversy, and the internal tension inside the organization. Suddenly, it no longer felt like separate headlines, but like one long breakdown. And according to online speculation, people inside TPUSA may be realizing that too. Because if board members are truly pressuring Erika to resign, then this is no longer just internet chatter spinning out of control. It is starting to look like a power struggle inside Charlie Kirk's own circle, and the online crowd is not exactly staying calm. One user fired back, "She is a disgrace. No one can defend that." Another wrote, "That lady does not seem to have a sound mind. I do not care what anybody says." Then another chimed in, "She is so vile. Who gets to shape Charlie's legacy now? Who decides which version of his marriage the public remembers? And why do so many resurfaced clips keep showing a version of Erika that feels completely different from the woman now standing on stage, speaking about faith, grief, and purpose?" These are the questions people keep circling, because at a certain point, viewers stop calling it coincidence. They start looking for patterns, and critics believe each new leak is revealing another crack in the image Erika has been trying to maintain after Charlie's passing. Now people are waiting to see what happens next. Will more insiders speak publicly? Will more footage resurface? And if the pressure inside TPUSA keeps building, could the organization Charlie spent years building end up turning against the woman currently leading it? If that happens, this whole story could shift again overnight. And that is exactly why the tension keeps building. Because once a story like this gets attached to public grief, every new clip gets picked apart even harder. Some viewers insist Erika's public image has been carefully managed, while others say the internet is stitching together unrelated moments and turning them into a bigger theory than the evidence supports. No official confirmation has backed the more serious claims, but the debate has already taken on a life of its own. What makes it worse, according to online discussions, is that the conversation is no longer just about one leaked clip or one disputed line. It has spread into questions about loyalty, image control, and who really has influence around TPUSA behind the scenes. People who are critical of Erika keep pointing to the same pattern: new reactions, old footage, and fresh speculation, all landing at once, creating the feeling that the story keeps changing before anyone can get a clear answer. Supporters, meanwhile, argue that the public is filling in blanks that were never meant to be treated as proof. Still, the scrutiny is not slowing down. Every resurfaced moment is being examined for tone, timing, and context. And some commentators say that is because the audience is no longer only reacting to Erika, they are reacting to what they believe the larger story represents. That includes the ongoing dispute over the letters, the questions around public messaging, and the growing sense that different sides are talking past each other completely. The claim that family members grew distant remains unverified, but it keeps getting repeated in online spaces as people try to make sense of the emotional distance they think they are seeing. And now, with the pressure continuing to rise, more eyes are turning toward the people around Erika, not just Erika herself. If any new statements come out, or if more footage surfaces, the discussion could shift again very fast. For now, the reaction online is split between people demanding answers and others saying the whole thing has become a pile of assumptions. But either way, the spotlight is not moving anytime soon, and every new post seems to make the situation feel even more fragile. Now, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, share, and check out the next video. It is just as intense, and see you on the next one.